Warren Buffett is a renowned investor, and his success in the stock market has made him one of the US most respected figures. His approachable demeanor makes it easy for anyone to learn from him and what he knows so well about finance, even if you don't have as much experience or education. In this video are 6 very simple lessons to know when picking out stocks or investing. Welcome to Financial Market TV. If you're new to the channel and enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, please don't hesitate to share your comments down below and give this video a like. Let's get started. Rule number 1 is don't lose money.
First rule in investment is don't lose.
Rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1. Pretty simple.
And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule.
So let's move on to rule number 3. Rule number 3 is your temperamental quality. If you buy things far below what they're worth and you buy a group of them, you basically don't lose money. What's considered the most important quality for an investment manager is the temperamental quality, not the intellectual type. You don't need tons of IQ in this business, but of course you would need decent IQ to get from here to downtown. But you don't have to be able to play 3D chess or be in a top league's poker game to be a successful investor. You'll need a stable personality or a good temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being in the crowd or against the crowd. This is not a business where you take polls. It's a business where you need to think.
Warren, what do you consider the most important quality for an investment manager?
It's a temperamental quality, not an intellectual quality. You don't need tons of IQ in this business. I mean, you have to have enough IQ to get from here to downtown Omaha, but you do not have to be able to play three-dimensional chess or be in the top leagues in terms of bridge playing or something of the sort.
In fact, Ben Graham would say that you are not right or wrong because 1,000 people agree with you, and you're not right or wrong because 1,000 of them don't. That's different than 90% of money managers who are in the game would say.
And Ben Graham would say that you're not right or wrong because 1,000 people agree with you. And you're not right or wrong because 1,000 people disagree with you. You're right because your facts and your reasoning are right.
Rule number 4, know the values of the business. Certainly, most of the professional investors focus on what the stock is likely to do in the next year or two, and they have all kinds of things and arcane methods of approaching it. But they don't really think of themselves as owning a piece of the business. And the legit test of whether you're investing from a value standpoint or not is whether you care that the stock market is open tomorrow. If you're making a good investment in a security, it shouldn't bother you.
Certainly most of the professional investors focus on what the stock is likely to do in the next year or two, and they have all kinds of arcane methods of approaching that, but they do not really think of themselves as owning a piece of a business.
If they close down the market for 5 years, all the ticker tells me is the price. And I can look at the price occasionally to see whether the price is outlandishly cheaper or outlandishly high. But prices don't tell him anything about a business. Business figures themselves tell you something about a business, but the price of a stock doesn't tell you anything about it. Value a stock or business first and not even know the price so that you're not influenced by it, and then establish your valuation. Then after that, look at the price later to see whether it's way out of line to what your valuation is.
Whether the stock market is open tomorrow. If you're making a good investment in a security, it shouldn't bother you if they close down the stock market for 5 years. All the ticker tells me is the price. And I can look at the price occasionally to see whether the price is outlandishly cheap or outlandishly high. But prices don't tell me anything about a business. Business figures themselves tell me something about a business.
Rule number 5, you don't need to follow others. So Buffett chose to stay in this place called Omaha, Nebraska, where corn grows just minutes from his house, just minutes from downtown. Now, Omaha is a nice town, but no one claims it as a world financial center. Omaha is a little bit off the beaten track for the investment world. Well, believe it or not, they get mail there. It's not as backwards as you think. They get all the facts they need to make decisions. Unlike Wall Street, you'll notice that they don't have 50 people coming up and whispering what you should be doing. You appreciate the lack of stimulation. You need to get the facts, not the stimulation. So how can you stay away from Wall Street? Well, according to Buffett, if you were in Wall Street, you'd probably be overstimulated and hear a lot of things. And you may shorten your focus, and a short focus is not conducive to good investing. But in Omaha, you can just focus on what businesses are worth and don't need to be in Washington to figure it out. You don't need to be in New York to figure out what some other company has worked on. That in itself is an intellectual process.
Did you find Omaha a little bit off the beaten track for the investment world?
Well, believe it or not, we get mail here, and we get periodicals, and we get all the facts needed to make decisions. And unlike Wall Street, you'll notice we don't have 50 people coming up and whispering in our ear that we should be doing this or that this afternoon.
You appreciate the lack of stimulation here?
I like the lack of stimulation. We get facts, not stimulation here.
Rule number 6, have competence in what you're investing in. What is the intellectual process? Intellectual processes is defining your area of competence in valuing businesses, and then within that area of business, finding whatever sells at the cheapest price in relation to the value. In terms of tech companies, it's not Warren's competence, so he hasn't really invested in any of that in 30 years. He hasn't understood any of them. So there's a technical revolution going on and he's not participating. But it's no problem for him. He says that you don't have to make money in every game, and you don't have to make decisions that you don't need to make. Nothing is forced upon you. For example, if you're out in the security business, you sit there and they throw a USD 25, and they throw GM at 68, but you don't have to swing on any of them. They may be wonderful pitches to swing at, but if you don't know enough, you don't have to swing, and you can sit there and watch thousands of pitches come at you. And finally, you get the right one where you want it, something that you actually understand. Then you swing. That's what makes a good investment. And as a friend of his says, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And once you've got these skills, you utilize them in some sort of way. If you were being asked to participate in a business opportunity, would it make any difference to you? Whether you bought the stock on a Tuesday or on a Saturday or on election year or something, it's not what a businessman thinks about in buying businesses. So when you think about it, when buying stocks, Buffett just makes everything so simple. He's a long-term investor who values businesses and speaks his mind because he knows over the long-term compound interest and businesses are an amazing combination as long as you invest in them correctly.
This technological revolution going on, and you're not going to be a participant.
Gone right past me.
Is that all right with you?
It's okay with me. I don't have to make money in every game. I mean, I don't know what cocoa beans are going to do. There are all kinds of things I don't know about, and that may be too bad. But why should I know all about them? I haven't worked that hard on them.
Thanks for watching the whole video. Again, if you're new and like this type of content, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave a comment down below and hit that like button. Also, click on the notification bell to get updated on our weekly uploads. See you in the next video.